No, you're not dreaming. You're seeing the place where I began the last video from here, which gives you an idea of how much progress I've done in 10 minutes. But anyway, as I promised I would do, I'm going to continue talking about, you know, the idea of Pokemon tiering versus the player's skill level. Because as I said, there are some people who believe that a better trainer will use worse Pokemon and still be able to win. Well, that's not really true, because that idea only really works if you're consistently fighting weaker trainers than you. Because if you're fighting someone who's equal to you, but has better Pokemon, you're probably gonna lose. And let's not even mention pitting an average player with questionable Pokemon against a Smogonite. That would be a disaster. And I've seen enough players to get a good grasp on what defines a bad player, an average player, a good player, and I find that one of the key differences between an average player and a good player is that the latter is going to be willing to use any Pokemon on their team in order to win. Because the good player understands that Pokemon at a higher level of play is a lot like chess. And in chess, you don't say, I hate queens, so I'm gonna use a third knight instead. You don't do that. It's quite odd to say, but a part of what defines skill in Pokemon is the ability to cast aside your personal preferences in terms of Pokemon and use them as tools of war instead. As much as the anime and the games enjoy telling us that Pokemon aren't tools of war, they are. They are tools of war. They are chess pieces, nothing more. And I guess this is the entrance to Lilycove. Yep, so we've finally made it to one of the biggest cities in Pokemon. Maybe, I was about to say maybe the biggest, but maybe not. I guess I'll just see how long it takes to go all around the place. And one last thing about legendaries. You know what I find stupid? People, you know, banning Ubers is sort of okay, but banning all legendaries, it's like, you know, Scizor and Lucario and that kind of stuff, that's okay, but God forbid that you use an Articuno or a Regigigas. And that is just completely illogical, because Scizor is way better than Articuno, and yet you see the latter banned more often than Scizor. Anyways, I just said this is Lilycove City, which has the mandatory department store in this region. Every region has their own department store, except maybe Ori. I don't remember Coliseum and XD all that much. All I remember is Mirror B's Afro and nothing more. The favorite lady, okay, what does she want? I've recently developed an obsession for sticky things. Well, I'm not gonna give her an item, but she's developed an obsession for sticky things. Think about it for a minute. Why is this rated E again? And she's called the Favor Lady as well. Can't forget about that. I don't know if it's just my dirty mind playing tricks on me, but okay, I don't know what happens if I do give her something sticky. I can't even say that with a straight face. Wow, I suck. So, as you can see, this is the contest hall at the left of the screen. We're going to go there near the end of our little expedition, because it's a rather large place and there's a lot to be said about contests, to be honest, so I'm just going to save it for a little later. And this is the Pokemon Trainer Fan Club, as opposed to the Pokemon Fan Club in Slateport, I guess, and everyone's ranting and raving about how their favorite trainer is this or that, and I think when you become the champion, they actually start worshipping you as well. Yes, the game acknowledges that you've become the champion after the 5 minutes following your victory, and that doesn't happen really often. In fact, that's one thing a lot of people criticize about the games, which reminds me, in Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, Cynthia's lines change in the Hall of Fame depending on whether it's the first time you beat her or if it isn't. But yeah, it's one of the rare occurrences where the game actually acknowledges that you're champion. If this whole wide world becomes ours, it will be a happier place for Pokemon too. Well, tell that to all the land-dwelling Pokemon that will have less places to live, and tell that to the humans too that will have less places to live, and tell that to basically everyone. It's just that Team Magma's ways are completely misguided, else I might actually actively support them. Not that the game gives you a choice in the matter, they're both villainous teams in this game, and this is something that a lot of people want out of future Pokemon games, more of an ability to pick sides. But I doubt that's going to happen because the game is basically marketed towards little kids, and you don't want to have little kids joining up criminal gangs, especially since I wouldn't say little kids join criminal gangs in the real world, but they start joining younger and younger. Oh, and there is TV on this guy's watching the TV, so I don't think it's a program that, you know, is randomly generated by the game, so I'm just going to try, but I think if I block the TV, then he's just going to send me off on my way, so that, now let's see, so I can't watch the TV here because, as I said, it's not a program that's generated by the game, and no! No! Not him! Oh man, I hate this guy. He's just freaking everywhere. And yeah, remember what he says here, that he's a purist, and see, that word just popped up right now. I can remember NPC lines from the games. That's how much I've played them. I'm such a freaking nerd. And feel free to agree with me, because seriously, that is just sad. Just like the Maniac trick thing from the last video. But what makes this really creepy is that I actually agree with Scott on what he said. Contests are meh. I really prefer battling. This is the root of the series, so that would make me a purist by definition. But I honestly enjoy battling a lot more than contests. And even though contests in Generation 3 were much better than in Generation 4, this is one of the few areas where Generation 4 genuinely messed up the contests, so they replaced it with the Pokethlon and Hard Gold and Soul Silver, and it was definitely a change for the better in my opinion. By the way, we've seen a lot of NPCs talk about Team Aqua. That's because their hideout is in this town at the eastern end of town. And I can go inside, but I'm blocked about 3 seconds in by a bunch of grunts who are blocking out the path because I need to go to Mount Pyre first, and new to Emerald is that I need to go to the Magma hideout in Mount Chimney as well first. And this is May standing in front of the department store. I'm not gonna fight her right now though, even though this is the last battle against May. Yes, I am not making this up. We're in Lilycove, we're just barely past the halfway point of the game, and it's the last battle against her already. And this is the move deleter. If you want to delete HM moves, this is a staple of the series by now. This is where you need to go. They force you to go there to forget HM moves so that you avoid getting stranded, even though you'd have to really go out of your way to get stranded to begin with, even if you could delete HM slaves. Pokemon are partners, they aren't tools. Unfortunately, there are some people who fail to understand that. No! You're the one who fails to understand the reverse. Pokemon are tools of war! They're just zeros and ones! And yeah, this guy is going to give me something, I believe. Yeah, a berry suits you to a T. And why should that be so? And his line is, I believe, that's because you're a trainer. So let's see if I'm right. When it gets right down to it, it's because you're a trainer! Yeah, I don't know whether to feel really happy because I remembered it, or really sad because it just tells how much of a freaking nerd I am. I remembered a line from a completely insignificant NPC who does nothing at all in the game, and, well, he gave me a berry, so he still did a lot more than 75% of the NPCs in the game, but just the fact that I remembered that line, oh, no, you gotta be kidding, not a phone call again! I wonder why they kept that in the game when it really does nothing. And, okay, this guy is talking about the Team Aqua hideout. We're gonna check out what little we can see of it in not too long. And, of course, they're also blocking the path to Moss Deep using whale nerds that they're supposedly training, but no, they're not training whale nerds. They're just making a blockade just to be pricks. And TM44 is rest, so with that done, I'm going to stop the video for now and continue after that.